Hello, I'm Dr. Anthony Terrascavage. I'm a clinical psychologist, owner and CEO of Cleveland Psychological Testing, and I'm going to tell you how we do wellness checks for public safety officers today. First of all, a little bit of personal background that you might be interested in. So I was born and raised in Parma, Ohio, middle-class family, blue-collar family. My dad worked in a factory for over 30 years, same factory, Lincoln Electric, on the west side of Cleveland. My mom stayed home as a homemaker, went to Catholic schools my whole life, Padua for high school, and John Carroll for college. First person in my family to go to college, and also the first person in my family and only person in my family to earn a doctorate degree, in my case from Kent State University, where I earned a degree in clinical psychology. In terms of my professional background, you will not find someone in Ohio who has accomplished more in terms of educating other people on how to conduct assessments, particularly assessments with public safety officers. I've published over 60 peer-reviewed articles in books as well as in medical journals. And I'm also a contributor to the most widely used psychological test in the world, and also with public safety officers in particular, the MMPI-3. You can see here that I was a major contributor to that test. So I have a lot of expertise in psychological assessment, and in particular, assessment of public safety officers. More in terms of my personal background, I'm a dad. That's one of the most important things to me. I have a 7-year-old son. He keeps me quite busy between him and doing work around the house, painting, things like that. I like to sleep quite a bit in my free time. Also a huge Browns fan, and then I am a nationally recognized homebrewer of beer. I've won awards in the National Homebrewing Competition for my IPAs. So that is a thing, by the way, homebrewing competitions, and I do, when I can, participate in those. All right, so enough about me. Let's get into this wellness check program. 5 aspects of this program, this comprehensive program that I'm going to go over for you today. First of all, the ice-breaking process with officers, educating officers, the wellness checks themselves, culture changes within the department that we can help with, and then having a national impact. This is an innovative and comprehensive program that I'm planning not only on improving officers' lives within Northeast Ohio and Ohio generally, but worldwide. That's my goal from this program, because as we'll talk about, there's no standards for how to conduct these programs, no well-set standards. So first of all, in terms of my program here, the first aspect of it is the ice-breaking process. So naturally, what I've observed is public safety officers are hesitant on working with mental health providers. And I think, quite frankly, it's understandable why they are hesitant. I have, criticized the field of psychology publicly in academic journals for how they do not appreciate aspects of public safety culture, and quite frankly, they demonize some aspects of public safety culture, which is really troubling because there's a lot of people who need our help who naturally don't trust us because of how the field generally, the leadership in the field presents their culture. So that is not something that I'm about. I very much value public safety officers, and I'm deeply committed to providing them the highest possible care. And on top of that, I'm a very sort of normal person, down-to-earth person. Everyone that I hire is very normal, down-to-earth, appreciates law enforcement. And so the ice-breaking process, what that involves is us meeting the public safety officers in their, home base at the stations and departments where they're located, participating in roll calls and ride-alongs, things of that nature. Just being there, not doing any mental health treatment, but just being there so that they get to know us as people, and they can see that we're just normal people who genuinely want to help them, and that should be able to help break down some of these natural barriers when it comes to seeking mental health treatment. I think that we're especially good at that. Next up, the second aspect of our program is education. So the wellness checks themselves are helpful, right? Because we can have some direct intervention with the officers. But, there's, the old parable that says, teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime, whereas if you give him fish, he only eats for a day. So education is that teaching to help people optimize their mental health throughout their whole lives. And topics that we can do trainings on, like 45-minute trainings, would be things like officer wellness, critical incident debriefing. We can do how to manage mental health, crisis intervention, lots of different potential topics we could actually work with you to develop. But the way that these would be delivered is in the form of a 45-minute video that all officers would watch. And it would be similar quality as what you see here. And we can track whether or not the officers view the video, whether or not they view the entire video. So in this way, we can flexibly educate all of the officers in a department, regardless of their shifts, availability, etc., with these brief videos and help with their mental health across lifetimes. Moving into the actual wellness check itself, this is the Wild West, okay, of psychology, this wellness check process. People are doing lots of different things. There's lots of different, a lot of variability in what people are doing for this wellness check program. What you'll normally see is it'll be something like a 45 to 60-minute meeting where there's light therapy conducted by someone with a master's degree in psychology or counseling. That's normally what you see. What I'm going to tell you and be totally upfront with you about is that sort of process is not going to have any long-term impact. There's not enough intervention there to really make any long-term impact, and it really amounts to checking a box, and that's just the honest to God truth. My goal with these wellness checks is to develop a process that isn't just checking the box, a process that's proactive instead of reactive, a super comprehensive wellness check process that is going to set up officers to really get the care that they deserve in terms of their mental health. So the way it works for our process is prior to the appointment, they complete psychological testing. The officer will complete psychological testing to assess lots of different mental health problems. That can be they'll have the choice of either completing the MMPI-3, which is a longer instrument. It's over 300 questions, but it is very detailed. Or they can complete a shorter measure if they'd like, around 100 questions, called the Spectra. It's similar to the MMPI, but less detailed. Either way, before the meeting, they're going to complete some sort of assessment. And then we're going to review that information. Psychologists, doctoral level psychologists, myself and my colleagues are going to review that information before the meeting. So we'll know whether or not there's potential mental health problems. We begin the session by assessing for mental health problems, being guided by that objective testing that we gave earlier. Next, we go into different specific stressors the officer's having on the job and trying to help them work through ways of dealing with those on-the-job stressors or even home stressors. And then after that, we give them feedback on if we think they have any mental health problems, on what they can do to take care of their mental health in the future, whether or not we recommend treatment or counseling or even medications in the future. We're going to give them that feedback in session. And then after the session, they're going to get a personalized email that has that feedback as well and a plan for them. So the goal here is to be proactive, right? Where we're doing these yearly wellness checks, we're actually assessing people every year. We're identifying if they have mental health problems or the beginning of mental health problems. And then we're telling them, hey, here's what you can do to feel better, okay? And in this way, we're heading off and preventing future problems in terms of the officer's mental health, their job performance, and so on and so forth in the future. All of this, by the way, is confidential. So all the information except for their attendance will be just between the officer and the provider. Whether or not they seek mental health treatment in the future is going to be totally up to them. But we are going to be that bridge to future mental health treatment if they need it. So this is a very innovative, comprehensive wellness check program that you will not find elsewhere. But I hope to develop and create standards so that we do eventually see people doing this sort of thing as opposed to checking the box. Another aspect of this is going to be culture changes. So even if your department culture is good, it can always be better, right? And so part of this program is consultation with psychologists on how to improve that workplace culture so that people are happier. at work. The happier they are at work, the better their mental health is going to be, the better their job performance is going to be, and the better your retention is going to be. So this is a win-win for everyone involved, getting this expert opinion and consultation on how to improve workplace culture. And then finally, my goal is to have a national impact. I not only want to improve the lives of officers in Northeast Ohio and in Ohio, but across the world, across the nation and the world. So, as I said earlier, I'm a well-published expert in the area of psychological assessment and in police. To give you a sense of how much I've written and published on psychological assessment, it's literally over 1,000 pages of work. It's like 2 reams of papers worth of expertise that I've put out there to teach other people how to do assessments. And so I bring that experience to this process, and my goal is to collect data as a part of this wellness check process, publish that data, and eventually create best standards for wellness checks that are modeled after these on the national level. And your department can be a part of that and have recognition for providing that data and being a part of it as well. So here is our pricing. It is competitive pricing, very competitive pricing. It's less than I normally charge for my hourly rate. I normally charge $250 an hour, but because of my appreciation for law enforcement and fire and dispatch, we've dropped the hourly rate down to $200. And so these are the prices. And again, this is a doctoral level psychologist that's meeting with the officers. It's actually a doctor, not a master's level clinician, someone who's very well trained in psychological assessment and genuinely wants to help police and public safety. Okay, we genuinely have your back and we want to help you. So if you have any questions, if you'd like to get a formal quote from me, please feel free to reach out to me. You can see my contact information here. I really appreciate you. If you're still here, that you've listened to me speak this whole time. And again, I'd just like to reiterate that this is an innovative program. It's comprehensive. It's the best possible program. It's being delivered by someone who has your back and who genuinely cares about you. So with that being said, if you have any questions, please reach out. And thank you for your time and your attention.